This episode is supported by Little Saints. More than a non-alcoholic beverage, it's a mushroom-infused cocktail that elevates the soul. Use code TheMothers20 for 20% off at littlesaints.com. That's TheMothers20 for 20% off at littlesaints.com. Now, enjoy the episode. Hello, team. I'm Sarah Brown, and welcome back to The Mothers, where we sit down with industry leaders and industry makers who are also somehow raising the next generation. The somehow in that line is particularly worth noting, given that it is day 172 of June, which is, as far as I'm concerned, other than the first month of a child's life, maybe the worst month to be a parent, because just how many class picnics and special dress-up days and year-end performances can one family survive, alongside the emotional regression that is absolutely happening as the summer approaches? And all this while watching the world burn and wanting to find a way to do something about it, and then also trying to be grateful for these moments and milestones because supposedly I will miss them one day. But anyway, I'm tired. You're all probably tired too. And yet somehow we find a way. Good news, I hope. Today's guest might just be our somehow. We are joined by the jolt of energy, optimism, and enthusiasm that is Tina McDavitt Mattera. Tina is entering her 21st year as the head coach of the Tufts University field hockey team, which may as well be the Tina program. She took over when she was just 24, a baby, and has built it into one of the most dominant programs in the country. They won the NCAA championship in 2012, which was the first NCAA title won by a women's team at Tufts. And that team is now proudly in the Tufts Hall of Fame. Under Tina, they've made the NCAA tournament 11 times, appearing in the Final Four 5 times. And Tina herself is a 2-time NESCAC Coach of the Year and a National Field Hockey Coaches Association National Coach of the Year. Tina is also, not surprisingly, a badass field hockey player. Not to cause family turmoil, but she is the oldest of the McDavitt sisters of Walpole, Massachusetts, all of whom are absolute legends in field hockey. Hall of Famers at Harvard, for example. But as an oldest sister myself, I have to assume the greatness started from the top. In college, Tina captained the Boston University Terriers and led them to an undefeated season and championship her senior year. She's been a member of USA Field Hockey's national indoor team and won a silver medal at the Pan Am Games, and she was also recently selected by USA Field Hockey to the Masters Indoor World Cup team. This is incredible on so many levels, but given the context of this podcast, incredible because she also has 2 kids and can still play the sports and coach the sports and live the life, which is what really came forward in our interview. Tina fucking loves life. She loves living and participating and experiencing all it has to offer. And that ignites a fire of joy that she has found a way to share with the world and her kids. Tina leads with a somewhat comedic, everything's going to be fine exterior, but don't be fooled. She's incredibly capable, competitive, determined. And when she knows what she wants, she'll go get it. After college, she was on track to be a teacher, but with a job in hand, realized that what she really wanted to do was coach. Thankfully, the response from her potential employer was, "Follow your dreams, kid." And so she did. Talking to Tina was incredibly refreshing and comforting because in a world that wants you to want everything and be everything to everyone, she has such a level-headed understanding of what she wants, what's important to her, and is able to trust herself enough to know that's enough. There are inherent trade-offs in building a career with or without children. And as we've talked about here, it starts with being honest about what components of life matter to you. And actually, if you're making decisions based on those principles, are they even trade-offs anymore? For Tina, she wants to win. She wants time. She wants to be present in the lives of her husband and kids, and she wants to share experiences with the people she loves. So far, that has meant building a dominant Division III program versus joining a Division I program. That means booking a family trip to Paris instead of renovating the bathroom or upgrading her car. That means having time and money to splurge on a sister trip to the Bahamas in the spring, but saying no to everything during the fall field hockey season. Zooming out, she has joy, and she has enough. I mentioned that Tina is funny, and she really is. This conversation hits on so much with the kind of candor only Tina can provide. From going into labor on the sidelines to coaching again days later, to the role modeling she provides to other coaches juggling kids, to what it felt like to finally have childcare that she didn't have to check on, and how she holds boundaries around work and travel with her kids as much as with her husband. So I invite you to buckle up for a fast-talking, wisecracking, truth-telling conversation. Also, for anyone listening that has teenagers into field hockey, Tina is offering a few clinics this summer. head to McDavittsports.com to snag a spot. And with that, please enjoy the hilarious force that is Tina McDavitt Mattera.
So thank you so much for doing this. This has been, the whole experience has been kind of funny because it gives me an excuse to reach out to people who I've like quietly always admired. And now I can just tell them how awesome they are and be like, you're so cool. You have so much to share. Can I tell you how awesome you are? And you can tell me like if it was hard.
Yes.
or not at all.
Yes.
And then again, like the whole premise of this is because I left Google and was not sure what to do next and had some ideas. And then in this like detoxing phase was in the mother world more than I ever had been. And I was like, all these women are just like taking care of everything and no one gives a shit about them. I was like, maybe we should not rebrand this, but there's strength and badassery that's happening here. But all we hear is like the sad story, which is not an untrue story. But I was also like, let's build ourselves up a little bit. And there are all these women who are doing so many amazing things and raising kids. And I was just curious about that like integrated story, because I feel probably in the sports world even more so, but there were so few moments where I looked up and I was like, wow, that is someone I could be. I could see myself as that person. And she is both corporate executive, whatever it is, leader in field and has children. And like all of them are kind of appearing at once as opposed to existing as if you don't have kids in a work setting or outside of work, pretending you don't have a job. And I feel like that lack of integration is actually problematic, maybe makes it hard personally, but I also have this very lofty dream of, I think the more integrated stories could be more powerful from like a policy perspective where it's harder to dismiss. Like I think moms get so shoved in a corner by arguably like sort of straight white men that are in a lot of powerful positions deciding our fate. So I was like, let's sort of speak capitalist, drop a big dick kind of discussion.
I like it. It needs to be said.
So anyway, so you very much fit that bill as someone who is out there making a dent in the universe, crushing your field and industry, and you're raising kids, and sort of like, how are all of these happening at once? And how are you feeling about it? And how have kids empowered you or made it harder or made it more meaningful or none of the above? So that's what we'll ask you about and would love to hear about.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, sweet. So we like to start with this classic question in a job setting. Like, walk me through your journey. Tell me how we got to Tina of today with an incredible legacy at Tufts. It was fun actually getting to reread all of your accolades, yours personally and the team and players. Like it's really incredible.
I can't believe it's been so long, like this is my 21st season, which is like wild to me.
Dang.
And you're so young.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I started when I was 5.
Yeah, exactly. But I was 24 turning 25 when I got the job, but it was crazy. But I mean, I grew up in Walpole and had 2 younger sisters, and we are a big field hockey town. So started playing when I was 10. They were 6 and 4, got them sticks, threw it in their hands, and we would hack around in the backyard and we'd play. We had a beach house. We played the beach, and then, made it to Boston University, played field hockey there, got my degree in secondary ed history, and was like, okay, well, I have to go be a teacher now because this is what my degree's in. Student taught, got a job at a local high school, and I had to pass the teacher test. And the principal calls, he's like, did you pass? And I go, yeah. And I burst into tears. I'm like, I think I want to be a coach. And he was like, awesome. And he goes, follow your dreams, kid. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, and you have my number. If it doesn't work out, call me. So started off at Holy Cross, making $17,000 a year full time. Poverty stricken, and loved coaching. It was so much fun. I did 100 side hustles to, make ends meet. And then the Tufts job opened up, and I was playing in a field hockey league, and this referee goes, you should apply for the Tufts job. And I was like, what? I was like, where is that? And I remembered really smart kids from my high school that were good athletes going there. So go on my interview, absolutely love the people, and end up, okay, I'll stay here for 3 years and I'm out of here and back to Division I. And 21 years later, here I am.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the short version of it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Is there a through line for you other than, or is it love of field hockey? Like what in retrospect was like holds it together?
Your constant?
I just don't feel like I work. Like I had to shower today for this meeting, to get on this podcast, like put on real clothes. Like I get to hang out with college kids all day. I'm in sweatpants. I get to work out every day. It's really, there's times that I'm on that field and I'm like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
No question. And my sister says to me, she's like, you and your husband are the only people that I know that like truly both love your jobs. He sells alcohol and I coach field hockey. So we really are like passionate about what we do.
Yeah, it shows. It really does. And how have you worked through the D1, D3? Like, what did you learn about? There's richness in the D3 world that I think is a little unique versus D1, but I'm curious how you frame it.
D1 is bananas. Like, I just think it is 24/7 and you can work every single day of the year if you want. And now there's a lot of pressure to get international students. So those coaches are, Chuck would always say, like, why don't you go for D1? And I was like, we'd have to have a live-in nanny and I would be like flying to Amsterdam and you would see me, So it was really interesting. I interviewed for the Harvard job in 2012. I had like 3 or 4 interviews and I was dating Chuck at the time. And I said, I'm either going to marry Chuck or I'm going to marry Harvard. Because if I get this job, like I'm going to have to be here. And I didn't get the job. I got engaged and we won the national championship that year.
Yes, I was going to say that year sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
that's
awesome. It all really worked out how it was supposed to.
Yes. And when did kids come on the scene?
So, I mean, we got married. I listened to your interview with Walshy, and I feel like very similar.
Oh my God, she's the best.
Yeah, she's good. So, very similar timeline and life. Like, I didn't meet Chuck till I was in my early 30s, maybe 33. Got married at 35, and I had right around the time we had started dating, I had an ovarian torsion.
Oh,
I was playing on the U.S. indoor team, super fit, like at the track, like running 400 repeats. And I'm like, my side is killing me. I had gone to the doctor for like 6 months, misdiagnosed. And then by the time they figured it out, the ovary was dead. I had to have emergency surgery. So I didn't know if I could have kids. Like I was like, I only have one ovary. Meet Chuck and we get married when I'm 35. So and I said to him when we were dating, I said, I have 2 non-negotiables. I said, I really want children and I really want a beach house. And he said, okay. So we had tried for a while with Lucy and then I ended up getting on Clomid, called the doctor. I was like, I need some help here. And got pregnant with her. Of course, I'm freaking out that I'm going to have twins. I'm like, how many kids are in there? Like, what's going on? And she's like, it's just one. I'm like, thank God. And then, of course, as a coach, right, you're like, do not have a baby during season.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm pregnant and due in October, which is the season. So ended up I coached an entire game in labor in the pouring rain.
Wait. Oh, wow. Good for you, I guess.
Did you know you were in labor? Or was this?
I figured. So this. Okay. So I'm trying to get pregnant, right? So I find this local acupuncture place, and I'm like, okay, I need some help, ladies. So I go, and this woman's helping me out, and so we have a game. It's a Wednesday. I go back to the lady, and I'm like, almost completely numb with her, and I'm like, hey, you helped get this baby, and I go, you need to help get it out. Like I am done here. So we had a night game, so I go in the middle of the day, driving home, stop at my favorite ice cream shop, get a coffee frap. Drive.
Yes.
I'm laying on the couch and I'm like, okay, I feel really sick. So I go down to do
Must be the coffee frat.
Exactly. So I'm like laying on the couch. I'm like, ugh. So I go down to get my pregame talk in the locker room and I can't catch my breath. I'm like, okay, so this is what the other team is going to be doing. And I like can't talk. So we get out, it's pouring rain at halftime. I go to my assistant coaches. I'm like, I think I'm going to need to squat down. I like can't stand because I talk with my assistants at halftime. So we're winning the game, end up losing in the last 5 minutes. I don't care. I grabbed one of the seniors. I go get Chuck right now. So she runs across the field and I'm like, we gotta go. I'm like, go get my bag. We're out of here. So, and Lucy was born the next morning.
Holy shit.
It was crazy.
I was imagining like your water breaking on the sidelines. Yeah. I could see you like delivering at the field.
I thought I just had to go to the bathroom because of the coffee. So
It's
actually not raining. It's
just me. It's me. It's my water.
I remember the whole ride to the hospital. He's talking to me about the game. I'm like, stop talking.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
What was it like to coach a season? And obviously you did it again. But what was it like to be pregnant? I was out at the fields with my daughter who's doing more soccer than the others currently. And I saw some other coaches across the way pregnant, like very visibly pregnant. Like, and I was like, I wonder what is that experience like? How are your players responding to you? Does it mean anything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exhausting. Like, I think like one of the best parts of my coaching is my energy and my enthusiasm. And I was at an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. I just like could not bring it. And
8 is fantastic.
I was going to say,
I feel like I'm always like, wow, like,
yes,
and
yes, you're on a 12 out of 10.
Yeah. And I would jokingly say to them, like, I 100% want to be pregnant and this is terrible. So like, I'm like, don't accidentally get pregnant. Like, you don't want to go there. Warning these college
good
kids.
Life lessons. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, I really wanted this and it's pretty bad. So I think, good for them to see me in that role. And then I have a life outside of coaching, but definitely the timing was not great. And then so I had hired back an assistant who had coached with me because I knew that I needed someone to come in who knew the program. Yeah. He's awesome. She comes back. Lucy's born. I call her, like, chatting with her. She's like, Tina, my grandmother just died. She's like, I can't be at practice this week.
Oh no.
And we were getting ready for playoffs. And I like had a terrible delivery, feel awful. We had practice at BU. I drove over with Chuck, nursing her in the car. Get out. He's walking laps around the field. She's in this huge snowsuit. And I'm standing at the 50, like, tweet. Because I had to go. I'm like, you got to go be with your family. Like, go to your grandmother's funeral.
You're like in a diaper.
Yeah, I was in a huge maxi pad standing at the 50, like, tweet, like, couldn't move. And Lucy was tiny. I remember the girls on the team being like, is that a normal size baby? She's like,
I think she might still be a fetus.
Exactly. They were like, this doesn't look normal. They're like, what is this? You know, and I'm like, my boobs hurt because I'm trying to figure out what and I'm like, ugh.
Oh my gosh.
Dang.
But yeah.
Did you feel
it's
like
really incredible?
It was insane.
It is.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had to be there, or you feel like I wanted to and like there wasn't space really to take the time off? I mean, matter of circumstances, like that's just like very inconvenient. But do you think that if you had to, could you have separated yourself or not? Like, do you think?
Yeah, but I just have so much pride in the program and so much care for those players and like had worked so hard. I'm like, I can't like let them down. Like I need to be there. Like we need to try to win this tournament game. And so I think I went to either 2 or 3 practices that week and you know, Chuck's got the little stroller and he's walking around the field and it's freezing cold out and we made it work. But yeah, I felt like I had to kind of take care of my baby, but I had to take care of my program.
Yeah.
Both babies.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
How long? So with each kid, how quickly did you come back essentially?
Immediately?
Oh no, I milked it. It was awesome. Because it was kind of cool, like talking to a lot of moms. They're like, you never get this time back. Like, take it. And so so then, the season ends and then usually, you know, the kids are home for winter break, the college kids. So I had that full month of just really like chilling out. And then a lot of stuff in the off season, just emails, calling recruits. So I would go to work maybe 2 or 3 days a week and I would bring her and one of the players would watch her for me for a few hours, but I was nursing and I was like a disaster with nursing. And like, so I would nurse her and the player would take her for 3 hours and then she'd bring her back. And then we had another woman that was watching her 1 day a week. So we were really just piecing it all together, but I had a lot of flexibility to work from home. Yeah. And so I would say like with both kids, I had a solid like 7 or 8 months that I wasn't wild.
Great.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Huh. And what was it like? I asked Walshy this question too, but I think any circumstance having a child is disruptive. I also think for athletes, the impact to your body and how being physical is connected to your identity, like that's disruptive in its own way. I'm curious how that played out for you.
Wild. Like we were, and I think having kids so late, like I was 37 with Lucy, 39, like Chuck and I were having the best time. Like we go out all the time. We party all the time. We were at the Red Sox game, at a concert. And it was like this huge cult to life. And I think like, being like the heaviest that I had ever been, I was eating like 2 breakfasts every day because I was hungry. You know? Like, I think like the transition from that and then just like I'm a sleeper. I sleep 8 hours every night, no problem. And just like being up with the baby, I was like, this is insane. Like nobody, you don't understand what it's like to be a mom unless you've done it. Like or have a newborn. The lack of sleep is like torture. And especially like Lucy was so little, I felt like she was nursing every 2 or 3 hours. I'd wake up and she'd be on my chest and I'd be like, oh, she's on my chest. And I'd wake up and then I'd be looking and I thought she was in the bassinet, but she'd be in the bed, or like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a disaster.
Yeah.
So I think that was really challenging. And of course I felt this pressure, like I want to have a second kid. So I got to hurry up and have a second because I'm old. But I'm like, I can't even imagine having a second child. This is not. And then once she slept through the night, I was like, oh wait, I think I can do this again. Like once, like I think 6 months she started to sleep through the night.
Again.
I was like, okay, maybe I could have one. And that's the thing, before having kids, I'm like, I want to have 4 kids. Chuck was like, one's good, she's good. And I'm like, okay, let's have 2. I'm like, let's have a buddy for her. Like, I don't really want to play with her all the time. So I'm like, let's have a buddy. So, then we had Maddie, but it rocked my world. Like hardcore rocked my world.
Yeah. Did you learn any lifelong lessons about asking for help while in this setup where you're like, you strike me, you're an oldest girl. We never asked for help.
Yes. No.
Did you learn to ask for help through this, or were you still like, I'm going to do this by myself?
I did want to do it by myself. And I think in hindsight, like so dumb, like my mom offered to move in with us for a little bit. And like, I had like a terrible delivery with Lucy. And I'm like, why didn't I say yes? I was like, I got it, Mom. I got it. And then I was like, still recovering, was miserable. Like it was really, really hard. And I didn't ask for help. The time I felt like we had the most help was we got an amazing nanny like V when Maddie was 8 months.
Yeah.
And that woman changed my world in the best possible way.
Yeah.
She was from Barbados, career nanny, 60 years old, bossing me around, telling me what needed to happen at what stage. And I was like, I love you so much.
Thank you.
And she would tidy up my whole house, do all my laundry, be like, your kids aren't eating enough vegetables. I'm like, okay, all right. Like, like she was so amazing. And I think like she was what I needed. And she was the first person outside of our family that never felt the need. I remember one day not checking in. I had a really busy day at work. Then I got home at like 9:30 and I go, Evie, I'm so sorry I never called you today. And she goes, you know what? Because you didn't have to. You trust me. You know these kids are fine. And I go, you're right. I said, you're right. Like I wasn't worried about them. And that was truly like life-changing for me to have that unbelievable help.
That's like the most special thing, like to be able to know they got this, like they're fine. Right. That is like the most spectacular.
And V, I'm sure that's how you were with Sarah's kids. Like it's like it's like you like loved them and cared about them so much that she didn't have to worry, right? Like she's like, we got this.
Yeah, really. We were just talking to someone who's a former like athlete also. We're all never former. We're still athletes. But we were talking a little bit about like sort of the out of sight, out of mind. Like there's a boundary. I have trouble integrating both. I think of my job as a parent to be like, let me make sure that my kids are fine. It doesn't have to be me that's doing it necessarily, but my job is to ensure that they are well and happy while I'm not there. Yes. And ideally, the mental load is still there. There's always other things to be dealing with. But if I can not have a steady hum of emotional, just sort of concern of like, I think they're okay, but I don't know. That is huge. And then you can actually focus and enjoy what you're doing separately, I think. But yeah. Did you ever, I mean, postpartum is like a wild experience, as you said, your world's being rocked. Did your love or focus on going back to coaching and field hockey, did that ever waver, or is that sort of like the North Star, the light at the end of the tunnel? I like looking back, like I think about when they were both babies, we went to the Final Four, we went to the national championship game in 2016 and 2018. And I was incredible. And I think like, I don't know, like maybe I was more focused. Like I was just like, like you only have a certain time as an athlete, right? We remember in college, like I have a huge test tomorrow. I only have 2 hours to study. Like I think like, was I more focused and could compartmentalize? Like I got to get this work done. Then I got to be home with my baby. Then I got to do this. I don't know why. Yeah, we went to the Final Four right after having both kids, which is really interesting. Yeah.
You gotta have more kids. Just keep going to Final Four.
So, and maybe like not caring, like, because I think like in 2015 and 2017, we didn't have the best seasons. And that's when I had my babies. And then both the years afterward, maybe kind of bounce back years.
It's so interesting.
I started to feel more like myself, right? Yes. And then that I was like excited to get back to work and had like a good chunk of time with them too. So I think like maybe I was re-energized and like excited to get into those seasons and back. Because I thought for growing up, I was like, why wouldn't everyone be a stay-at-home mom? Like I would want to love my kids and stay home. And then I remember being home with Lucy for 2 months. I'm like, this is nuts. I have to get back to work. Like, totally. I'm bored. Like I'm like, how much TV can I watch? And I was like, I got to get back to work.
Yes.
So that was eye-opening for me too.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you returned after having them, your approach and like communication style changed with your players?
Maybe I was a little softer. Like I always have really loved my players and loved the kids. I think like maybe being a mom, I have like another level of love for them.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
like because I always have wanted to make sure I'm developing them as people and that I'm caring about them as people first and then as a field hockey player. But like I think like, yeah, maybe I'm like a little bit more sensitive to them. I think I was more a yeller and in your face, like go pick it up, and
Yeah.
if you were having a bad day or not. And now I think I'm maybe a little more sensitive to the kids.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. We also, as you were telling your journey story, you glossed over the fact that you still play. Am I right?
Still play.
Yes. And now you're so young that you qualify in like the Masters
I'm in the
age group.
Masters, yes. I went
Do you
over
feel proud to be a master, or are you like, don't call me a master?
No, it was so fun. It was actually, so we went over to play at the University in Nottingham last year in the World Cup. And it was actually like being in college, but you have money. Like it was so fun. Like we would like, a bunch of us rented an Airbnb. We would play our games during the day, go home, go out for a nice dinner. But it was like super fun. It was like a throwback to being in your 20s. And fun to play at a high level and wear a USA uniform is really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Is doing that, where, in what setting or in what activity do you feel most like I'm Tina right now? Is it while you're playing, or is it, I don't know, with your kids, or when your kids are away, you're out with Chuck, you're at a concert?
Concerts. We love our concerts. Yeah. I don't know. There's, like I said, like some days I'm at the practice field and it's like a beautiful day and like the kids are playing well. I feel like totally happy and that this is like, I'm like in no doubt in my mind this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I mentioned before, my non-negotiable was getting a beach house. Like we got our beach house and 4 years ago now, and so I'm down there with the kids in the summer, and that's also like us. We popped in a couple weeks ago to check on it, and I'm down playing wiffle ball with the two of them because everything's got to be a sport and competitive. But we were, me and the two kids down on the beach a couple weeks ago, and that's where I'm like so happy too.
Yeah. Do you think of yourself as a mother? Like, do you sort of lead with that as an identifier, or do you, I don't know, think of it more organically?
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine my life without them. And I think being older, I just like appreciate them. So I think if I had kids in my 20s, I would have just been like screaming and spanking kids and like out of control. And now I feel like because I'm older, when they're being nuts, I'm like, okay, I'm like, maybe she's tired. Maybe she's hungry. I'm going to give her a second. I think if I was younger, I would have flown off the handle way more. And now I'm like, it's okay. Like we got this. And I just think my approach is so different. My appreciation for them. Like I still look at them, and I remember when Lucy was a baby, like I'm like, I cannot believe how much I love this little being. And like even I feel that way now. And I'm just like so proud of them, and they're so funny and fun, and just like watching them grow and develop has just like, I find so much joy in that.
Yeah. I have found that I think having kids kind of brings like an even deeper, wise sense of like universal, multi-generational bigness to human connection that I couldn't have tapped into before having kids.
But I love everyone's kids. Like I love all the neighbors' kids. Like I'm coaching youth stuff, and I'm just like, these kids are just I'm just into, as a mom, I'm like into everyone's kids. I just love children, and I just have a new appreciation being a mom of everybody's kids. And I do think everyone's doing their best, and like,
right.
And just kind of, rolling with it.
Yeah. Did you, because I imagine when you're, as you said, you're so young, were there any examples of coaches with kids at a high level or did it ever occur to you that you could or couldn't do that?
Yeah. I mean, when I was at Holy Cross, my boss there, Meg, had a daughter who was probably, I think, 5 when I started. I think I did see that I'm like this. And that was the other thing with the D1. Like we would leave on Thursday or Friday and come home Sunday night. So that was also like a deterrent with the Division I world, is like, I'm like, do I want to be leaving my kid? Like my old boss, Meg, her husband was super supportive. She always had a nanny. Like it was a lot. Like, so I think that's the D1 world. And I was talking to our soccer coach about that. Like we're not making $1 million like a college football coach, like the difference in the jump from D3 to D1 financially doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to double my salary. It doesn't make sense, So I think where I'm at right now is really great. But I talked to the women's lacrosse coach about it. She's got 2 young kids too. And she's like, yeah, are we doing a good job with our kids? She's like, do you know other coaches that are raising their kids well? And she's like, are they going to be messed up? I go, I think we're doing all right. I go, I think we're doing all right.
Good for you.
It's things you think about, right? Like, and her wife's a coach too. So it's like, they've got 2 coaches in the family. Like, she's like, are we doing right by our children? And I'm like, I think we are, you know?
Yes.
How do you know that? Because you seem like you know that. I'm curious where that comes from.
I try to be very like intentional with my time with them. So like we do a very good job. We have breakfast and dinner together almost, I would say, every single day as a family. I would say minimum breakfast 7 days a week, dinner 5-6 days a week. And it's actually cute. I think Maddie started it. We do our rosebud thorn every night at dinner.
Oh, nice.
So everybody does it. So, and so that's really fun. I try to read I think that growing up, my mother just like, all we did was read. We were at the library all the time. So I try to read with them. I'm reading with Harry Potter with Lucille right now. And, you know, and Maddie's still like learning reading. She's in 1st grade. So I have her read to me every night. With the sports stuff, I'm always, Lucy, they're both playing lacrosse. I'm like, get in the front yard. Like we got to catch 10 passes. So I'm just really trying to be intentional with the time that I spend with them. So, and just keeping a pulse kind of on what they're doing and just trying to be present when I'm home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember while she was talking about integrating kids with her team, do you combine the two? Do we mix business and pleasure?
Yeah, it's so cute. It's actually cute. When they were little, they called everyone the hockey girls. They're like, "Oh, are you going to see the hockey girls?" So, now they actually know everyone's name. So it's so cute now that they're 7 and 9. But my husband brings them to every single home game, and we all tailgate and hang out after. But I was like, like one of the freshmen this year was like, "Tina, look at my phone." And Maddie had stolen her phone, hid underneath one of the tables of the tailgate. It was like, "Tanya, I got your phone!" Like hilarious. Like, I'm just like, "Who are you?" So I'll bring them to team things like as appropriate. They come to our banquet. We did a team Red Sox game that I brought the girls, you know, so like stuff that they can come to with the team. But it's fun now that they're older because they actually know. They're like, how's Lily? How's so-and-so? Like they actually know who the
really
girls are.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I am so separated from sports. I think I have like 2 left feet and 2 hands that are not connected to my body. But I imagine if my coach, like if I got to meet their kid, it like humanizes them of like, okay, they're also just people too. And I think that that's like a really beautiful thing for them to experience also.
Do you bring them on the road when you travel?
Never.
No.
A coach from another school was like, "Hey, what do you do when you bring your girls on the road?" I go, "No way." I'm at work. Like Chuck tells the story of the year we won the national championship, we were dating and he came to the Final Four and I was like, "Well, where are you sleeping?" And he was like, "I'm not staying in your room." I go, "No, I'm working." And my assistant, I had 2 male assistant coaches at the time and he got a cot and slept in their room. I was like, I'm busy. I'm at work. Like you're not invited to work. And he was like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Don't distract me." So yes, I do not bring them on the road.
I also respect that is probably a really hard boundary. Like when your job is fun and so interactive, right? Or easy for me to say fun. I'm sure there's hard components to it that are not fun, but it's still your job. And you're still working, coaching. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I wanted to go back a little bit to the pseudo sacrifice. I don't even know if it's pseudo, but thinking about D3 versus D1 and you seem very focused on, I want my full life to be happy and good. I want all of us to feel good in it. A lot of our listeners and colleagues of mine often think about things that they might say no to in order to be home more with the kids, the things that they will opt out of in order to have their broader life be good. Do you think about like those choices between D3 or D1 and other ones that I'm sure you've made? Do you think about those as sacrifices or trade-offs, or do you think about them more as I have a higher understanding of what I want my whole life to look like? So these don't really feel like, you're like, oh man, if I'd leaned in more, quote unquote, I could be a D1 coach and have these kids and all that stuff. How do you feel okay with your choices?
I think I'm smart. Like, I think it's smart. I mean, saying no, like, do not invite me to anything from August till November. The answer is no. Like, whatever. Like, Chuck's like, I haven't gone to a Patriots game. And, you know, he's like, I got free tickets, like sitting with Tom Brady. I'm like, busy. I have a game tomorrow. Like, I got to get ready. I won't go to anything during the fall. I miss out on a ton of stuff with friends, with family. I will never, ever have a Labor Day. Like, I'm in preseason, you know? So, like, but it's just, that's understood. Same thing, like weddings, stuff like that. Don't even ask me. Like, I wouldn't miss a game or anything unless, usually, the only time I've ever missed is when I'm sick. I've never really missed anything, and I wouldn't. And or Jennifer's wedding, those sisters of mine both got married in the fall. What a pain.
Bitches.
I'm like, you guys are top athletes. Like, come on.
Yeah.
We won both those games those weekends, so now I don't have to hold it against them.
Yeah.
And then no, I like the D1 world is one. I'm lucky because I think Tufts puts me in a great place to be successful, and I really, really like winning. I think if I did go to D1, there's only a handful of teams that really dominate in the D1 area. So I would probably be at a middle of the road school field hockey wise, which I don't think I would. That wouldn't sit with me. Like, I want to win. Like, this year I was sad we were second in the country, and we were first going into the NCAA bracket. So I want to win. So I think like I find a lot of joy in that. And then I just think, D1's like too much of a sacrifice. Like I said, like I would have to have my parents living with me or a full-time live-in nanny. Like, I just don't think that. I don't think it's the right fit for me. Like, I've interviewed at others. I interviewed at Georgetown one year. I called them like 2 days later. I was like, I don't want it. I interviewed at Brown one year, and I was just like, I hope I don't get it. Like, I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. I'm like, please don't offer it to me. I don't want it. So I think I've gotten calls from other D1 schools to come interview, and I'm just like, no, thanks. Like, I'm where I am, and I have a nice balance. And I think like my family life is important to me. So I think that I've really found a great balance with both my home life and work.
Yeah. Good for you. That's really been an interesting theme among a lot of the folks that we've spoken with who are highly ambitious. They want to achieve more. They're not like, I'm going to be a B- student. Like, that's not who they are. Yeah. And yet they're also trying to find ways to put together a full, meaningful life in which they feel like they are achieving and also not losing on the other side. Like, it's kind of like the win-loss column. It's not like just one. The game is like all of those components together. It's not like just one of them as much anymore. And I think that's really, helpful. And also when you're doing work that fills you up, that feels joyful, that feels important, like that in some ways makes it easier. Cause I was just reflecting on some of, colleagues when I was in corporate life where they felt more tortured by these choices where they were like, should I go for that job? Should I not go for that job? Should I go for that bigger job? And I think they're tortured more because they're like, I don't really like any of that. Like, I'd rather be doing something else anyway.
None of it really sounds good.
Yeah. So, but it's hard. And I'm glad you were able to listen to your gut. You always seem like someone who listens to their gut. But early days that you didn't wind up in teaching, I'm sure you would have loved that in a different way. But to make these choices early on that are about you and about fulfilling yourself and like building upon that allows you to be a little bit more, I don't know, empowered and liberated if and when you have kids.
Some things that's interesting too is like finally, like financially, it's like, where's also the trade-off, right? And I'm sure your friends see it in the corporate world, right? You're making a huge paycheck and you're working 70 hours a week. Is it worth it? Like, and so like maybe I'm making a little less, and do I get 10 extra hours with my kids every week? What's the trade-off, and like we're fine. We're not super rich. We're fine. And like, but I have all those hours and that time, and I have like my summer, I get a good chunk of time with the kids in the summer. Like, that's so worth it to me than to be grinding. Yeah. Like, I guess I could work camp every single week and try to make some extra money all summer long, but instead I choose to spend that time with my kids.
Yeah. Do you also think about it in phases in some way of like, in this chapter, this is good?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. Like, the baby phase was bananas, and we made it through there. And just like you guys know, the cost of childcare is like,
it's truly insane. I don't know how people do it.
Bananas. Like more than our mortgage. I literally was like taking out I was like a drug dealer every week, just like taking out wads of cash. Like here, like I don't know how we did it. Yeah. And I also now don't know where that money is. I think it's going to sports and extracurriculars, but like,
shouldn't we be saving money now?
No, that phase was nuts. This phase is, I feel like, kind of a sweet spot. I'm like loving when they were 4 and 6, 5 and 7, like right now they're 7 and 9, like, oh, they're awesome. I like love them. We're having so much fun. I'm seeing a little sass from the 9-year-old already. And I'm like, oh God, what's going to happen? Middle school, like, here we go. But I'm really like loving this stage.
Yeah. Good. Did you have, we talked about role models in the sports world of coaches that were, coaching at a high level and also having kids. What informed how you thought about being a mother in general? or being a parent?
I mean, our own mother, like she was I remember she didn't work, then she worked part-time, then she worked full-time, and she was a physical therapist, and then she, got promoted and was running the office and whatever. And she tells the story that my youngest sister, Jennifer, sitting at the kitchen table, said, "Mom, did I see you yesterday? Did I see you the day before?" And my mother burst into tears because she was working so much, and she immediately went to the office and cut back her hours.
Oh man.
And
what
I
did that mean
remember
to you?
that.
Yeah.
And I remember that as like, we would get home from field hockey practice and I'd be like, "Where's dinner? I'm starving." And she'd be like, "I just got home." Like, she was getting home at the same time as us because she was working so much. And I remember her really dialing that back. I think as a role model, she always put us first. And I think like she was the academic parent and my dad was the jock, right? So my mom was like, "Let's go read a book." And my dad's like, "Let's go shoot hoops." So I think we really had like the best of both worlds with those parents, and they were great. It's funny being the young, like having the kids latest and having the youngest kids. I've got some great friends that their kids are older. My best friend from college and my best friend from growing up, just their kids are, 17 now. So I'm calling them being like, "What am I doing?"
Is this normal?
And I'm like, and I'm hearing their stories. So I'm like, I'll have it all figured out by the time my kids are 17, because you guys are going through it, So it's kind of fun to talk to your friends and see what they're doing and how they're parenting. Like my friend Brian and his wife are very strict with their kids, and they are the most polite kids you'd ever meet. That is the expectation, and they are very, raised really well.
Yeah. And your kids flip the bird frequently, or what are we doing?
I don't know.
Starting fires, small fires.
No, I bet your kids are funny.
Maddie's hilarious. Yeah.
They're happy too, which is key.
Yeah.
That's most important.
Okay, one existential question, then we have some short questions to close. But we like thinking about, and this is kind of like connects to the model of your own mother, but this concept of having it all, and whether anyone, but in this context, mothers can have it all. Is that something that you think about? But then also, like, to you, how would you define it all?
I think it's different for everyone, right? Because someone wants to having it all as they're the CEO of their own company, right? And they have kids, or they're the stay-at-home mom who's just with their kid all the time. Or for me, I think it is finding the joy in my children, finding the joy in my marriage, finding the joy in my work. And I think and then the other thing, like I said, like I love the beach, right? Like I'm a beach snob. I love to read. Like, can I find time to do all the things that I love? And I think that that's really important for me. And I find joy in all those things. So I think like I am kind of having it all right now. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you learn to care about joy? I feel like people in Boston we don't care about joy. We care about achievement.
Have you read this book? Have you read this book, Die with Zero?
Oh, no, but I can tell. I know the premise. Yes.
Okay. I think I should get royalties because I literally tell everyone about it, and I've probably bought like 15 books. I like hand them out.
Wait, I don't know anything about it. Can you give the short?
Give a plug.
So the premise is just like, when you die, if you have money in your bank account, you did something wrong. So he says, like, live your life. You're not going to climb the Great Wall of China when you're 80 years old. Don't die when you're 90 and give your kids $1 million inheritance and they're 70. He's like, if you're going to help them buy a house, help them buy a house. If you want to go on the vacation, go on the vacation. Obviously save, don't be stupid, but like at what point? And so I'm like having this midlife crisis right now where I literally am doing all the things. Like I'm flying out to Bermuda with my sister Friday because she wanted to do a sister's weekend. I'm like, let's go. Chuck and I want to go to see a concert in a different city. He's like, Chesney's in Vegas at the Sphere. I'm like, let's go. So we booked it. Like I got invited to coach in Amsterdam this summer. And so I'm going over to coach, and Chuck's going to fly over with the kids. And then we're going to take this is so cute. So we're going to take a train to Paris. And Lucy's like, we're going to go to Paris. She's like, are we going to go to France too? And I'm like, yeah,
girl. You're like, live like you're dying, baby.
Yeah. So that book was really eye-opening for me. And like, like as you get older, you're hearing all these crazy stories of 40-year-old with cancer and dying and all these things. And it's like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
So I think I've really opened up my vision and like, okay, yeah, I am saving for retirement and being a responsible adult, but any extra dollar I have, where are we going? What are we doing? And for my kids, I didn't have a passport till I was 22. And now 2 of them are, on their European vacation this summer, and it'll be really fun. So I'm really excited for all of that.
That's awesome. Good for you.
You seem so sure of yourself and confident, and just like such a pleasure to be around. You're just so like, it's not that serious. Just have fun and do your best, and you're doing great. And I love that.
Exactly.
Great energy.
And Sarah, I think that, and V, and that's a good point. Like when I first started coaching though, then I think I did build a good foundation. I was single. I was at the office. Like I would be at the office Friday nights at like 8:00, 9:00, and the lacrosse coach would walk by like, field hockey, putting in extra hours. I'm like, kind of a loser, and I'm not dating anybody, and we have a big game tomorrow, so I'm going to get ready. And so I really grinded in my, mid 20s to early 30s and really kind of built the foundation at Tufts too. So I think like now the program's got a good reputation. Players want to come there. And because I've been doing it a long time, I know what I want and need out of kids that I'm recruiting. And so it's just been really fun. And I feel like I have dialed it back a little bit. And the kids have become my work was such a priority for so long. And now the kids are the priority and the work is kind of like the bonus and fun for me too.
So cool.
Yeah. Like, well, you're reaping the rewards. It's great.
Yeah. It's fun.
And your kids are so lucky to see that and grow up with a family that's choosing happiness. What you said in the beginning of like you and your husband both love your jobs. I feel like it's so common to not and just be like, well, we have to do this because we have to make money because we have to do this and whatever. And like to see them growing up in a home where your parents are choosing happiness, like that seems like that would be like the norm, but it's really not.
Also, it's a good reminder. I mean, I'm in Newton where any extra cash is like, so are you going to redo the kitchen or like what sort of renovation are you going to do versus I love that maybe it's not an either or, but you're like, let's spend money on experiences and fun things for everybody.
It is an either or. My bathrooms are gross, but whatever. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Like, do I want to spend $15,000 on a bathroom renovation, or do I want to go to Europe? Like, I'm going to go to Europe. Like my car is old. I really would love a new car. But like it has 4 wheels.
It works.
Like I just think like, I am picking and choosing like what we're doing. And the same thing. I'm like laughing. I look at old pictures. I'm like, oh, I still own that outfit. Oops. 7 years ago. Like I'm like,
sustainable queen.
But those things don't matter to me, like I don't really care. Like I joke with my sister, I'm like, can I have your hand-me-down clothes? Like that's, I want, where are we going next? Like what's the next trip and what's the next concert? And those are like the fun things for me.
Yes. I love that. And impressive that you found a partner that you like drive on that level. Like obviously so important. Yeah. I feel better being around you, Tina. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, you're so fun.
Where are we
going? Exactly.
Let's go.
Surprise for meeting you in Bermuda.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the other sister. Okay, we have 3 short questions, 3 short answer questions, and then we will let you avoid the traffic. Okay, if you could go back and tell your new mom self one thing, what would it be?
I put such pressure on myself to breastfeed. And I think that like, Chuck was like, Lucy's starving. And I'm like, no, she's not. And I think she was like, I'm like, and I wish like someone had just said to me, like, stop nursing or just give her a bottle. Like what, I felt this like immense pressure. And I wish I just chilled out. Like I was like, I got to go introduce her to my grandmother and I've got to take her here and I've got to do this. I wish I had done nothing. I literally wish for, especially the first 3 months, that I just had like taken the help from my mom. And then I wish I had I look at like my friend right now just had a baby and he's got a bottle and I'm like, wow, like that thing's not attached to your body for, all day. Like I just, I wish I had done that. But then nursing with Maddie was way easier. And then I did nurse longer with her and it was fine. So I think like figure out what works for you and don't feel this like societal pressure. Like no one's ever starved, breastfed or bottle fed. Like do what's best for you.
Right. Fed is best. Yeah.
Yep.
True.
If you could provide yourself or your family one thing or sort of a theme of things along this journey of parenthood, motherhood that would have made it a little bit easier, is there anything that comes to mind? I
mean, finding the right nanny. Like we didn't find that right nanny until Maddie, Lucy was 2+. And I think like that, like, with V, right? Like you, especially now, like you're looking back, you're like, we were so lucky, like so finding that right help. We had one nanny that I was like, I don't love her. And at the time it was like, well, the school year's almost over. So I just need to keep her for a couple more months. And I was like, I just like, I didn't get the best vibes from her. And I wonder even to this day, like Lucy was little, but I wonder to this day, like how that influenced her.
Yeah.
I still worry about that. So like finding your people that can help you take care of your family, the most important thing in your life, like finding the right people is huge. And don't be afraid to pivot and like, this isn't working.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. The childcare in America is just so broken. I mean, the fact that V saved our life, but it was entirely luck that we found V and could afford V and like all these things. So, yeah.
You're so right.
And it makes all the difference.
But for V too, like you guys were probably great to work for and you have wonderful kids. And so like,
that's what I'm saying. It was mutually, but like also pure luck. Like there was no like there isn't a good system in place for either side.
There's not. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Your kids may one day listen to this. Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Just they'll never know like the happiness they bring me or the love that I have for them until I think they have until they have their own kids, right? Like I think my mother is always like, wait, I love you so much, like whatever, like sappy, and you're like, okay, mom, and then you don't get that until you understand. Like once you have your own child, like just looking at them, I'm like, wow, like these are my kids, or like they do something and I'm like, that's so me, or I'm like, that's so Chuck, or whatever. Just like the happiness and fulfillment I feel having children and having my own family is like unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Well, they're so lucky to have you.
Lucky.
And we're so lucky that you came. Thank you so much.
This is awesome.
And also thank you to you 20 years ago. God, is that true? Yeah. You were like one of the first people I ever spoke with when I was trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do after graduating. I don't know if you remember this. And Ben was like, you should talk to Tina. I feel like she knows how to give good advice about following your passions and stuff. And I don't know if you remember this, but you were very encouraging and in a nice way. Like, as I mentioned, I come out of this world, all of us do. There's sort of societal pressures and expectations of what success is supposed to be. But I feel like you've done, and I'm sure it wasn't as easy as you make it seem in retrospect, or maybe it was, which is why you're a gift, but you're so good at knowing what matters to you. Yeah. And kind of being like, fuck everything else. Like I'm doing what is important to me. And that makes you so comforting to be around because that's what we all want to feel empowered to care about what we care about.
Yeah. It was it was a challenge at points. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't easy at points and there was, and I was questioning, like, do I just throw all this coaching stuff out and go do something else? And that it was definitely, but yeah, you got to figure out like, what makes you happy and what you're excited about every day. Don't put on a suit and go to work and punch numbers and be like, I'm miserable. Like what's the point? It's your life. You got to like figure out what makes you happy and keep moving. And the same thing with the money piece. Like I said, I was making 17 grand. Yeah. I was like, but I'm happy. I like it. And then I finally am, making an okay salary.
Not 17.
Yeah. Yeah. 17. No, and that's really helpful to hear. Like we're in this is new and we're not making any money doing this right now. But yeah. So it's helpful to know like, sometimes you start from a place that feels scary and not enough, but like stick it out and then you can solve that. That becomes the problem to solve is like, I'm doing something that feels nourishing and enriching and feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. Yes. Now let's figure out how to make money doing that,
Exactly.
Anyways, thank you so much for all your time with us, sharing your thoughts. I'm glad you had fun. We had fun.
This was really fun, you guys. This is awesome.
Tina's the coolest, and I felt genuinely better. The second she got on the call, I was like, everything's going to be fine.
Why is she
Everything
so
is fine.
Confident and like just like aware and just like, I'm doing this because this is what makes me happy. And who gives a shit about the other stuff? But also she kind of does, which is why it worked. Right. Like she's aware. Yeah.
It's not a blind choice.
Yes, no, totally. It's a conscious choice, which is like even more respectable because you're like, damn, yes. She was fantastic. So cool.
Yeah. What I was going to say too was that I feel like she does a really nice job or why she's so comforting to be around is I feel like I'm in a stage of trying to navigate between doing what I care about and what feels important to me, but also kind of wanting validation that's okay or that it's going to work or whatever. And it's nice to be around someone who's like, it doesn't matter. That second part, it doesn't really matter because it feels ephemeral and it feels irrelevant and it's based on someone else's value system. It goes back to all of these women have had the same kind of insight and maybe, I don't know if it's why we're picking them or if it happens because of what they're doing and how they're doing it, but they all seem to be people who have found a way to like live to their own value system, whether they knew that what it was early on, or they've grown into it. And the role that maybe becoming a parent has kind of like solidified some of those things. And then they've found a way to do work that allows them to live by those values and like reinforce those values. And that's, I don't know, seems apparently key to feeling happy and fulfilled and not quite as totally stressed and drained. Like there's a way 100%. That they get energy as much as they're spending like all of the energy they have. It's also like kind of a perpetuating, there's a refill as they're doing the output. That's really helpful. I think there's also like the oldest child thing shows up in a lot of these people too. Oldest child, oldest daughter. But maybe why she's so helpful to me as a model too is like usually the oldest daughter's like, I don't know, they ascribe to like societal expectations or there's someone else's expectations that they're living up to. And I feel like it's harder for them to maybe step into their own wants and needs, or it can be. Sure. And I feel like she's built a life that is of her own imagining.
Yeah. I also love, you mentioned this, but like having a partner who sees those things and also is living life that way is so special and important, I feel like, and a reason why everything works so well for her is like having that same value system as your partner who also sees those things and is like, yes, me too, and supporting you doing that and vice versa. Like I think that's imperative. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, totally. Incredibly important, especially when you're kind of, I don't know, I feel like there's some power in like you have this little like family unit of it's you guys against the world. And if you guys can be on the same page, then you can like defend each other against vulnerability when you're feeling like, I don't know, am I doing enough? Am I making enough money? Do I have is my title big enough? Like whatever. But if you're fine in your little unit, like that's ultimately what matters, right?
Yeah, like when she talked about how the other coach came up to her and was like, are we doing right by our kids? And she was just like, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And just when even her response of like, I don't know, because I'm sure of myself, like being so okay with that within your family unit, then that clearly translates into, I don't like the real world so clearly for her. And I just love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Walshy, like she's an incredible coach. She really did build that program was not a noteworthy program in the way that it is today at all. Like various forms of Hall of Fame. Like that program is the Tina program.
So cool.
And how cool a coach, like she has a similar, I never played field hockey and never played for Tina, but I got a similar energy between her and Walshy where it's like they love to win, highly competitive, and such like they call him like a player's coach, where it's also a very sort of humanist approach. We're all in it together as opposed to like sitting back. I am the one with the power. I am the coach, and I'm gonna like I expect things of you, and I'm gonna maybe manipulate you to achieve them. And like, but she seems very on the ground with the kids, and with her team.
I feel like is like imperative to the success, I think. I mean, again, I don't know anything about sports, but I mentioned this, like the humanizing factor. Her being able to be vulnerable enough to like share her personal life with them and see the raw, real like side of her of like coming right postpartum, still in diapers, whatever.
I know,
and like showing up. It's like that as a player, I assume, would make me want to work even harder because it's like, oh, well, if you're showing up in this way, like I want to do that too in my own way. So,
yeah, totally. I love when players and coaches feel sort of equally accountable to each other. And I think part of that is like sharing vulnerability and allowing that other person to be like, you show vulnerability allows others to care for you in a deeper way that isn't just about performance and achievement.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad we got to talk to her. Yay, Tina. Maybe one day I'll play field hockey.
Yeah, I don't know anything about field hockey, but it's really cool.
And I've said this too. So I know Tina through I'll say this in the intro, but my connection to Tina is through my college roommate who, like Tina, was an amazing field hockey player. And I will say coming out of Newton, which is all soccer all the time, any other sport is like second-class citizen sport. Field hockey, like,
so funny,
was sort of, if you can't make the soccer team, you could go play field hockey. And I feel like only when I met the McDavidts, I was like, okay, this is a fucking sport.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And it also is confusing to me. Why can't we use both sides of the stick? I don't know.
Dumb question. Is there men's field hockey? Is that a
There
thing?
is.
Oh, there is. Okay.
There is.
Are you sure?
More overseas. I think not as common in the U.S.
Because all of a sudden I was like, have I ever seen a boy play field hockey? And I'm like, I know lacrosse, but no.
Yes. I feel like, I want to say like in Europe, it's a big deal.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. But yeah, we'll do a fact check. We'll come back.
I love it.
Okay. Joy.
Yeah.
Quick moments of joy. I have one.
Let's hear it.
Which is a build on a prior one. But my joy is that our household is battling illness, which you may or may not have noticed in my nasally tone and hacking coughs. But our middle kid has been homesick. She and I went for a walk together.
You did?
For like 17 minutes. Oh. And she held my hand the whole time.
Oh, did you make it to the water, to the lake? Or
no, we didn't make it to the water.
Okay.
But we did walk together. And then halfway, or we were thinking of going to the water. And then we were on the way to the water. And she was like, I think it might be a good time to turn back now. And I was like, okay. Because she is pretty sick.
Yeah.
So, and we made it home alive. But that was very new, like, chapter of age of children where we could go out for a walk and like be buddies. So that was a joyful moment in the chaos. And honestly, proud of myself for making time to go on a walk, which is not my style.
Yes.
If you're going to make time for something, like, go for a run.
I can't with you. It's not enough. A walk is not enough. Keep going.
It's not enough.
Oh,
I know.
I love that.
Where's your joy, Lady V?
My joy is... Where's my joy?
I know, scraping.
As he's like trying to shit act.
Oh, really? Is that shit noise? Okay, amazing.
He hasn't pooped in so long. He's so...
No.
Yeah. I've given it to prune and pears. And I don't know why he's so backed up. I don't know.
Avoid banana, by the way. Do you know that?
Right. Because that's a blocking
It's a binder
agent.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, my joy. Oh, my joy is now that it's been like nice and beautiful out. We've been, speaking of walks not being enough, we've been going for a walk with the dog and the boy, just the three of us. And it's been so lovely to like start the day. Like, I think before I was dreading like, early morning wake ups and then like, what do we do? Because we have a whole day of activities to try to like figure out. So we've been doing walks, and this morning, just like I was chatting with neighbors that I haven't met before, but now that it's like nice out, people are being out and about. And that's just so nice. And it makes me so excited for the summer.
Yes.
And like connection. Talk about community,
I
right?
know. Someone wants to chat here.
Just like getting to meet people and like be a part of a neighborhood. Is so nice. And actually I talked with this one woman this morning who's like, this goes by so fast. I have a 19 and a 17-year-old now, and like talking about the messiness of motherhood and how she's like, it's all just terrible and wonderful at the same time. And she's like, you know, I don't mean terrible, but and I was like, no, I get it.
I know. It's like honestly what's happening right now. You have a smile on your face. You're talking about joyful things.
And
your boy is laughing and crying and trying to poop at the same time. And it's a mess. It's a joyful mess, but I'm glad I'm in the mess with you.
Right?
Yes.
I love you.
We're doing a great job. Everyone listening, you're fucking killing it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yes.
You're alive. You're getting from point A to B. Just sit it. Yes. Just give yourself a pat on the back.
Go for a walk. Even if it's 17 minutes.
Go for a walk. It's enough. All right. Love you, V.
You.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and we can reach even more rock stars like you. The Mothers is a production of Backline Media, shining a light on those who carry the team.